Blog Talk Radio.
From Winston-Salem, it's Sunday Night Dead.
Admiring your spoon collection, because you are listening to Sunday Night Dead. Hope you didn't like those Cheerios anyway.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Night Dead. Matthew Slozer here from Automotive Paranormal, and right now I am stuck in the middle of West Virginia. I have not had a very good day today. Was up at the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum for the weekend. Had a great time helping out there with some flashlight tours and some of the paranormal tours. But unfortunately, I only made it about 20 miles south of Weston before my car decided to take a vacation on me. So I am hanging out in a hotel, and I love West Virginia, but I have to say that it's pretty much kind of the middle of nowhere. I was lucky to find an exit before the car died because there doesn't seem to be much around where I'm at. So if I start breaking up or if you're having a hard time hearing me, let me know on the chat. And with me tonight, actually running the show this evening, is my co-host from Emerald Coast Paranormal Concepts, Tracy Todd. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. Hey, I want to tell you a West Virginia joke, okay?
Okay. We have a lot of friends and listeners from West Virginia, though, so just keep that in mind.
Okay, that's cool. What do bears and girls have in common in West Virginia?
What?
They both lick their paws. Bazinga!
Okay. So how are you doing, sir?
I am good, man. I'm so sorry to hear about your car troubles, buddy. I wish there was something I could do to help you out.
Well, I wish it was a simpler auto thing that happened, but you know how these deals go. When you get stuck on the road, you're kind of at the mercy of the person who has the car. So, okay,
Yeah.
screwed over too bad here, but it's never a good thing.
No.
And 1 second. With us tonight, I think we lost her, so she might be having signal troubles as well. Recently relocated from Alaska to Louisiana, and I want to ask a lot of questions about her experiences there in the great state of Alaska. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Sasha Hayden. How you doing tonight?
Good, yourself?
Good. Been I've had many chaotic things happen during the show. I had people that listened, long-time listeners here. I had the half-hour monologue I had to do one time. We had the first ever Ghost on Ghost interview, which is basically like an hour of dead air. So we had a bunch of different things. It was funny when that show died. Basically, we had trouble loading the show up, so it was kind of silent for the first hour. And when we came on, I said, I'm like, I hope you enjoyed our first ever Ghost on Ghost interview. I don't know about you, but I had no idea what they were saying. And it was funny because I actually got messages from people or people in chat going, man, I'm sorry I missed that. And so people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was interesting. So yeah, I'm kind of winging it here. I got a little makeshift set up here in this little hotel, kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And my phone's acting very weird right now too, so I apologize for that.
Okay.
So, how are things with you? How was your move?
Stressful, but I mean, for the most part, I absolutely feel at home here in New Orleans. I've just got some logistics. I've got no furniture in the apartment. So, other than that, it's actually been a really great trip.
Oh, awesome.
Yep.
Well, tell us a little bit about you and how you got kind of started in the whole in this whole field.
Well, I am a psychic, and so I used to see things when I was younger, and didn't realize what was going on. The first experience that I remember, I was pretty young, and I was living with my stepfather and my mom, but I think we'd only been moved in for a year or two, and I ended up moving into the back of the house. It was a trailer, and I kind of rolled over, and I looked out the window, and there's this big white, man. I shouldn't say creature, man. It almost looked like kind of one of those cheesy flashlight things where people actually had a flashlight under their face, but his whole body was white. So it had that kind of effect. So I did my normal, typical scream, and of course my dad, being the typical Alaska guy, came into the room, figured out what was going on, grabbed his gun, went out there in sweatpants in the middle of winter, just in sweatpants, and checked the house. Apparently there was no footprints, nothing to that degree at all. Parents said that I was imagining it because I was asleep, which I could have been, but I continued to have a few experiences, and it just kind of led to my parents saying, oh, it's just your imagination, ghosts aren't real, and whatnot. And I ended up using the paranormal field to educate myself on my gift. It's little, as much as you can in a small town. And when I got older and met my husband that I have now, I always wanted to be a paranormal investigator. But I hadn't met anybody that wanted to be one too. So came across him. We decided after the wedding we wanted to start a paranormal team. And sure enough, a couple months after we got married, we started our team. And thus began my investigation. And from there, I started working on my psychic gift. And I am where I am now, and I very much appreciate it. I also run Paranormal Community Against Bullying, investigate psychic. I make jewelry, stuff like that.
Oh, awesome. I definitely want to talk to you about the para-bullying thing, because we've had certainly that is a area of interest, but not in a good way. I wish it didn't exist in the first place for me. But a couple things about, because I doubt many of our listeners have investigated or have been in Alaska. So tell me a little bit about what part of Alaska were you in, and are you originally from Alaska?
I wasn't born in Alaska, but I was raised. So since I was like one, little after one, I've been in Alaska. So I get about as Alaskan as you can get. I was raised in southeast Alaska in a town called Sitka. When I was about 21, I moved up to be with my ex-husband to what's called Anchorage. Moved to Florida for a few months, moved back to Sitka. Didn't work out, got divorced, and then I ended up later moving up to Anchorage again. And there I met my husband that I have now, and I stayed for a while, and then me and my husband decided it was too cold. So we moved. But, I love Alaska itself, and I don't regret, being raised there and stuff like that. So I love it.
Awesome. So what is the paranormal activity like in Alaska? What's is it a lot of more or less Native American type things, or back to early like settler type things, or what's been your experiences overall with the nature and types of activity there in Alaska?
It's actually a mix of all of the above. It's pretty evened out because the Native culture up there is so intense and very popular up there, not as much as it used to be, unfortunately. The last 10 or so years it's kind of gone downhill. But there's a lot of the Native culture, but we have a lot of gold mines up there too from that big gold rush. And just in the area, Anchorage, within a 50-mile radius, which actually isn't much in Alaska, there's a good 3 or 4, I believe, just in that small area. So, and when everybody moved up, there was a lot of bootlegging and stuff like that. So we have, there's rumored that in the main town that there's actually an underground passage where they used to bootleg alcohol into some of the restaurants.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I go. But, yeah, there's just about everything. We don't have any asylums. At least, we have one, but it's active. I mean, it's not an old one. So they always got sent down to Washington or Oregon. So if you got criminally insane, you got shipped out. You got banished from the island.
Interesting. Now, we've had Luana Kurz, who's one of our hosts on the show. She does has done a lot of work in mines and things. We've had discussions before about possible mineral deposits and effects on activity, and just the whole fact that Alaska kind of being an area that also has a lot of seismic activity. We talk about energy and the ability or the possibility of that being able to feed into or feed different types of activity.
Yep.
So what are some of the things that you've experienced? Is it, based on what you're hearing or seeing from what other people talk about, is the type of activity different, or how would you describe some of the things you've experienced?
From what I've gotten, wow, I've been down here too long. From what I've gotten, it's a lot of the same stuff, but I've noticed that there's a lot more frequency or a little bit more activity. So I've had people check out some of my EVPs that are from the lower 48 because I was still learning. I had researched a lot, but actually investigating from a book, it's not nearly as effective. So as I was learning, I would ship out my EVPs, and there was, from what I've noticed, a lot more frequency in genuine EVPs than there was than there normally would be. So we do check for mineral deposits, creeks, and stuff like that, because those are all things in Alaska, because it's so undeveloped that it can affect stuff. So we always, try to do what we can to figure out what the ground is like underneath. And sometimes you can find records on that, sometimes you can't. But as far as activity, it's a little bit more increased. The people here do believe that it's a lot to do with the native spirits or stuff like that. Not just, but it's very, very frequent up here. So.
Now, have you noticed anything, any correlations with any seismic things, either before or after you've had any tremors? Or I don't know how frequently you have tremors and things there. I'm assuming, so I could be wrong here. I'm assuming it's like California, where you may have some small ones that just people down here, particularly on the East Coast, never hear about. But have you had any? Have you seen any correlation either before or after the activity like that?
I never, honestly, until you mention it, never really thought of doing the correlation. I've tried to do some stuff with the aurora borealis, but I never really thought about doing anything with earthquakes, darn it. But we do have a lot of seismic activity. It's maybe not quite up to California, but we do get a lot of 5-pointers and 6-pointers quite frequently. So and we have volcanoes up there too, active and non-active. So.
Well, I was just kind of thinking aloud here that if you had, again, just thinking of the whole energy thing, you're talking about the potential energy on a large scale that then gets released. So you can kind of look at it two ways. Could that buildup of the energy feed things ahead of it, or could the release feed things after it? I have absolutely no idea. Again, just speculating things here. I'm not a physicist or a geologist, but...
No, I mean, logically, that would absolutely make sense. I mean, just the energy alone, even afterwards, that it's, from what I've learned from other people, just a shift in energy in general can cause or decrease, paranormal activities. So it would only make sense for an earthquake to somehow affect paranormal activity as well, because it is energy that is being released. So.
Well, I've I had lots of questions here, and I still have a lot of questions. I've
go for it.
talked a little long here, so I want to bring in my fellow host here, Tracy, Sasha, Tracy.
Hey, Sasha, it's finally nice to meet you in person, kind of.
Quote unquote. We're on the same area-ish of the country.
Yeah. So you're good. I know you still don't have any furniture, but is everything else going good down there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm over at a friend's house right now, and I've just been chilling out all weekend, having fun. I did get pretty sunburned today. My first sunburn down in New Orleans, so I got an aloe rub down. But other than that, it's been absolutely fun. The culture here is great. Even the cemeteries are beautiful. Everything here is absolutely beautiful.
Well, nice. Are you getting any prospects on a site that you might set up shop or something?
Like an apartment, or what do you mean?
No. Like, a place where you can give readings and stuff.
Not yet. I tend to do them out of my home for now until I get a lot of clients. My clientele's picking up, but I'm hoping to get to the point to where I can get a shop where the readings will start paying for itself regularly. So
Right.
that's my goal. But I have been keeping an eye out on places just in case I do find that perfect place.
Well, wonderful. So,
Yeah.
how are the, how should I say it? How are the views of the paranormal? How do they differ from New Orleans to Alaska?
You mean like buildings or the creepy places, or like what I see? What people's feelings are about it? So far, a lot more people are open about it here. I mean, it's not like I've chatted a whole bunch of people up, but there are a lot of people here. You know, psychics are still kind of a iffy thing, but only because there's so many people here that, you know, have a crystal ball and, you know, that kind of stuff. So, but, you know, my apartment complex, they actually worked a little bit harder to try and get me set up so that I could do readings in the apartment. So yeah. So I'm like, all right, cool. So for the most part, it seems to be, you know, a much more welcoming area about it.
Right. Well, that's not a bad thing. Everybody's sitting on pillows. That's not so bad.
Right. But put a whole bunch of Hindu, Buddhist type stuff around the apartment, and nobody will ever know that I didn't have furniture.
See, now you're thinking. So do they, when you, I'm sure you've met quite a few people down there since you've been down there. Some old friends probably, you know, of course, new friends. The ones that don't know you and don't know who you are, when you tell them who you are and what you do, what is their consensus?
Since I've been down here, or in general?
Since you've been down there.
I actually haven't met too many people, but so far, I think I've only gotten one funny look so far, where I just kind of caught them off guard, because from what I've heard from other people, and I have not met any other people, a lot of the ones that people see that are psychic are kind of theatrical about it, I guess is a more way to say it. Not that all of them are, but just some of the ones. So when they see somebody normal, you know, and I say, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm a psychic, they're kind of like, what? So, because I don't dress goth, you know, I wear bright colors and stuff like that. Not that goth clothing isn't cool, but yeah, I just come off pretty normal. And then, you know, with me being disabled, a lot of the people that know me right now see me as disabled, and then to have a psychic, you know, I think I've only had one person not really like the idea.
Right. Well, in the same conversation, do they bring up the whole voodoo thing?
So far, not one person has brought up me and voodoo in the same conversation anyway. I think I've only had one person talk to me about it, and that's actually the person I'm staying with. And she hasn't really, you know, brought up. It was just more of a conversation literally about voodoo than it was me being psychic and stuff.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, I'm always curious when I talk to people that have any type of sensitivity, because it definitely seems like different people have different, you know, it expresses itself differently with different people. So I'm curious. You mentioned that you saw that man that one time, but how does it usually present itself to you? So when you're picking up things that other people aren't picking up, how are you receiving that information?
Well, when I was younger, I used to see it like I would see any other person. Kind of like as cheesy as it sounds, kind of like the ghost whisperer. Now I don't, and I'm extremely grateful for that, because I know I'm a paranormal investigator, and I know this sounds stupid, but I'm afraid of ghosts, and I am terrified of the dark. I am dead serious. I sleep with the light on. So, but what happens for me is it's kind of like an image. or if I'm picking up a certain event, it'll be kind of like a slideshow. Not an old home movie or anything like that, but I actually see it play out in my head. If I'm picking up somebody's emotion, I'm not an empath, but if I feel like I can tell that they're angry, even though I'm not feeling that they're angry, it's just kind of like a gut feeling. So when I talk to somebody about, okay, like their grandfather passed or something like that, I'll just kind of get like I'm looking at a picture type thing or an image standing in front of me. And then I'll describe it, and then I'll get a feeling about, typically it's because they want to pass on a message of don't feel bad because I've passed or stuff like that. Don't hold on. So, but I'll get that feeling that I'm supposed to pass that along. When there's remorse from the person that's passed about a fight that they had, I'll get a feeling that I'm supposed to pass a message like that along.
Okay, so it's more, so you're like having a reading and you're, seeing someone that's related to that. So when that information comes through to you, it's more by feeling. Do you actually hear them at all, or get anything, or is it more okay?
Yeah, no, just feelings, which I'm thankful for, because like I said, I'm scared of ghosts, and I've been told that that's part of why I see it that way. That way I can pass the messages along without being scared too. So
okay.
That's what I've been told. So, but yeah, and it's worked really well. I creep people out. So as it works.
Well, I totally get the light on thing. I've talked about this many times. That it doesn't happen often, but I have on occasion the pleasure of waking up and seeing people in my room that then disappear. So having that experience makes you lead towards leaving the light on as well. I don't do it all the time, but I do it because it is a little freaky seeing someone standing there that shouldn't be there. So another just goofy question, but I've never actually asked this.
Okay.
When you see the people, do they look just like regular people, or do they look, like when you see some of the movies, people see them, they're kind of like, sunken in eyes, and
sure,
I mean, do they look like
yeah.
do they look normal, like normal people, or do they look dead?
Absolutely normal.
So, like, if it was somebody that had an accident and things, they don't have
Nope.
They don't look all banged up.
Nope, not for me. Not for me anyway.
Okay. That actually makes sense to me. I would say that it's more drama for the movies, but I had never actually asked somebody that before, so I definitely wanted to ask that question. So what was and again, if it's a private place, I obviously don't want you to give up any personal or confidential information here on this, but what would you say was your most interesting investigation in Alaska?
Wow. I have a few places. I can never usually narrow them down. And this one I can do because this one I was actually on TV for on the Travel Channel.
Oh, wow.
Yep, it's called Legends of Alaska. Ha ha. And we went to Crow Creek Mine. It's a little bit south of Anchorage. I would have no idea how far, but it's like an hour and a half drive. Again, for us, that's really not a big deal at all. Yeah. And what happened was this town, in 1964, I believe, third largest earthquake in the world, period, had actually happened in Anchorage. And there's only been two more that were bigger than that, and they both happened in China. So as far as America goes, if I'm correct, we have the largest earthquake. And then when that happened, the entire town actually had to be moved.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's the whole earthquake took like half of downtown with it. So there's a lot of paranormal activity in the downtown area for that reason. But we'd gone to the Crow Creek Mine and we were filming. Now, as a paranormal investigator, when you're filming, you have to be careful about your integrity. It's all strictly for entertainment, but you also don't want, to do something that might get you into trouble. So what happened was I'd actually been telling them what I had been seeing out on the porch because I had seen a person. And I believe we were doing an EVP session, and we were playing it back, and as I was describing the person, we hear this loud thunk. So my first instinct wasn't, oh, my God, I'm going to be killed. It was, oh, God, the camera crew is going to screw me over. So I immediately run out to the front porch because you can still see the windows. And it was the year that I think we had over 100 feet of snow. And so the snowbank was almost as high as the porch. And I ran out there. There's no footprints out there. And I start playing 20 questions at the camera crew. Where were you? Where were you? Where were you? What had happened? What were you? So now after I realized that it probably wasn't the camera crew, then we tried to debunk the sound. And what we believe actually happened, because I was actually able to recreate it, it was an old shovel handle literally from the late 1800s, from the actual gold mine, because we were in the town that people would stay in. And it was actually on the porch handle. I don't know how to say it, the railing. There we go. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. And we believe that it either fell off or slammed off or whatnot, but or at least was picked up, because we literally created that exact noise. And it was really cool. And then we'd also had very active EVPs, and we would play them back live, and we were actually getting responses, and they were probably some of the clearest ones that I'd ever had. We were getting, were you rich when you died? Now, obviously, it would, said no, and it was just flat out no. Did you leave somebody behind? Because a lot of these miners weren't able to bring their wives or families over. So they just dug what they could, and then, when all the gold was gone, then they'd go back or stuff like that. And I'd actually gotten a yes. And we believe that we caught a name, but the name was kind of more of a B. So you could tell something was being said, but it wasn't quite clear. So it was very, very, very cool. And it was a very cool episode. I haven't seen the episode, but I get recognized in town for that episode. So.
Ah, cool.
Oh,
yep.
Cool.
Now, have you done? I know you were just recently down there, so probably not. But have you had the opportunity to do anything in Louisiana, or the time you were in Florida? I guess Florida would have been before you were doing this.
Yeah. Florida is when I was with my ex-husband. When I haven't gotten to do a chance to do anything here. However, both my friend's house and my apartment is haunted. So I haven't pulled out any equipment because we haven't pulled it. We haven't sent it down yet. But it's been interesting. So I know that there's activity here. I don't know if you saw my Facebook post. I'm laying down. I'm getting ready to go to sleep. And a couple times earlier, I had actually heard what I thought was my dog's rubber ball. And there's not a lot in the house. So, I mean, it's a distinct bouncing noise. So I kind of blew it off, because I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm still getting used to the strange noises house makes. And it still could be. But every time it happened, my dog kind of perked up going, oh, where's the ball? And then on the last time, he actually goes out into the front room because I had my door open with the lights on. And he comes back with the ball. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I was a little disturbed and turned on a couple more lights. So I hadn't gotten a chance to do cleansing or anything yet in the house. But, I mean, at least it's not, it didn't appear to be a negative energy. I mean, because it was playing with the dog, if anything. So, if anything, it was making my dog work out and get some exercise for me so I didn't have to do it.
Speaking of anything on the negative side, have you had any encounters with anything? I'm not saying necessarily inhuman, but just bad presence or aggressive or anything.
Yep. My husband is actually more of a skeptic. I mean, he doesn't not believe in ghosts, but he's very unless it's in front of me, it's going to be hard for us to actually believe that it was something. I mean, if we get a clear EVP, and he gets excited and stuff like that. But, he's very, very, very well grounded. And we were doing a fundraiser. And my husband does not see anything. He's never seen a ghost or anything like that in the 4 years that I've been with him. And we were doing a fundraiser at the old hotel, and he sees this old woman. And he doesn't tell me anything because, you know, he thinks he's a little crazy, even though we're at a paranormal fundraiser. And I ended up having to take him to the emergency room because he got so sick. And this is a man who does not get sick. So he ended up throwing up, nosebleed, everything. And after we left, because he didn't want to alert anybody, he told me that this old woman really felt like she did not want him there. So, and then one of my team members had actually gone up to one of the rooms and did an investigation when we were filming for the local news. Or it was after the local news, but it was the same day. It was just after the camera crew had left. And he asked, well, how did it feel when you died? And he started getting a choking feeling, which goes along with the story. And then he ended up with red marks on his throat.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, that one, you know, I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about that one. And I've seen some inhuman entities and stuff like that. Those are the ones that I can actually see like real people. Ghosts, I can't. Ghosts terrify me. Malevolent entities, they don't scare me. I have a healthy respect for them. but for whatever reason, they don't scare me. I don't know if it's because I feel that they have rules that they have to follow. I don't know. But, yeah, so I've come across a few entities in the short time that I've been investigating. So it's all kinds.
Interesting. Now, what would you say on the malevolent side? You know, we've always talked about this, and you know, a lot of theories out there, and you know, I hate to speak for the people on the show, but you know, most of the people that we've had on here that have talked are all more or less in agreement that these things are extremely rare. Yet you have some people that, you know, go out there and basically tell people, you know, there's a demon around every corner. What's been your, out of what you've been able to actually, since you actually see and experience things, what has been your experience in that regard as far as kind of what's out there, what people are interacting with?
I have come across a lot, at least ratio-wise, a little bit more malevolent entities than what I would assume would be down in the lower 48. Now, that doesn't mean that I could be wrong or anything like that because, you know, each person has their own experience. But team members do, you know, have come home with bruises and stuff like that. And some of them are very careful. Some of them are clumsy. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to ratio. Now, do I think that they're demons? Absolutely not. You know, me, I consider a malevolent entity a hostile entity.
Okay.
So as far as possible inhuman ones, probably 2, which is still, I feel, very abnormally high, especially considering I've only been investigating since October 2011. So it's been like 2 years. So to have 2 nearly back-to-back, about 6-7 months apart, and then actually it's 3 possible ones. You know, I don't know what happened with them because they wanted a team that was going to give them an answer the first shot around. And one of the first things I learned was don't do that. So, and I hate using the word demon. You know, I research them, and I make sure that I know what I need to so that I can help clients, and that is something I want to pursue. However, I don't like using that word to be tossed around, and on one of those cases, I actually ended up having to remove a team member because she was going to be helping one of the children with her gift because, you know, she was able to see stuff that both of me and my other team member were able to pick up. We had her write stuff down and whatnot. So she validly had a gift where she could actually see stuff. And she told the 17-year-old child that there was a demon in her home. So before we even reviewed the evidence, I mean, it was the next day. And so obviously she got removed. and I had to call the family. The damage had already been done, but yeah. So, but I do feel that there's a very, very, very low percentages, and, you know, from what I've learned just the last 2 years, that people are finding out that ghosts can do a lot more than what people think. So just because something flies across the room doesn't mean it's a demon anymore, like it used to.
Right. Well, yeah, and then people just, I don't know if it's for drama or, you know, things along that line, like to go down that path a lot. Tracy, I don't know, did you have anything that you wanted to add on this?
No, I totally agree with her, and I mean that's about it right now.
All right. I am curious. You talked a little bit about this, but I don't know if there's any. The two that you saw that you would say were not of human origin. What was different? What was different experience-wise that would make you come to that determination?
We had the washing machine move on us.
That's a heavy object.
That is a heavy object, and we recorded growls, and I'd actually seen, now I don't know everybody's experience, and this is part where I am inexperienced, because I have so much to learn. I've been researching half my life, but actually experiencing it and stuff like that, you know, it's got to the point where I kind of tossed all my books out. I have them for research purposes and training and stuff like that, but as far as, you know, actually being able to put it in, the books don't do justice, never will.
Let me just quick interject here. My view on this show is there's no right or wrong, and that's why I like doing these shows and talking to people's experience, because I don't think it is all cookie cutter. And so the more we share and kind of dialogue on what our experiences are, the more we're going to learn.
Absolutely. But when I see quote unquote malevolent, or in these 2 of the 3 cases, possibly, and I highly stress that, possibly inhuman entities. You know, one, I saw the red eyes, but they were more, it originally started as shadow figures that ended up a full-on gangly black entity with the whole, again, flashlight effect. And I hate sounding cheesy because I really lack of description for me. But it was like a blue face and stuff like that. So usually for me, they start off as a, you know, like I said, a shadow figure, and then end up in whatever kind of figure. The other one I actually saw when I was younger, and it was the same thing. I didn't have the blue face, but it was completely shadow figure that looked really bulky and really gangly. So, you know, to that extent, you know, it's personal interpretation. Do I say that they were a demon? I don't think so. Do I think that they were something that was pretty nasty? Yeah. You know, it takes quite a bit, not that a ghost can't do it. And my assumption would be if a ghost can move a washing machine, they could probably look whatever way they want to. But, yeah, it was pretty bad. One of our team members actually refused to, and she was kind of our brave person on the team, and she refused to go into that room that it was in, that we felt that it was staying in. But like I said, that was the case that our person had already told the 17-year-old that there was a demon in the house and stuff like that. So we did not go back a second time because I told her, I kind of tried to retract it as best as I could and said we'd have to come out there another time, and they did not want us to because they wanted to go with another team that could get them an answer quicker.
Mm.
Yep.
Mm. Yeah, interesting.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Matt. And you haven't heard anything back from them since?
Nope, I've tried calling. They won't take my phone calls.
Huh.
And
do you think
basically, huh?
You think they were upset over what your teammate did?
Oh, absolutely. And to be honest, I full-heartedly do not blame them. They wanted an answer right away, and because, you know, I had to retract what a previous team member had said, A, it made us look unprofessional as is, and then B, you know, as a client, you know, especially after that word is thrown around, it's pretty scary. So, you know, I totally, as far as that goes, I don't blame them. And apparently they had known members from another team too. So they ended up working with that team. I don't know what ended up happening. I tried finding out, but the other team that worked with it is actually the one team member that I kind of did not get along with.
Oh, okay.
So the other ones I get along with, but so I tried finding out. I tried calling back for a couple months. Every so often call back to say, you know, hey, let me know if everything turned out okay, if something didn't, you know, even if it was nothing or even if something happened, just kind of let me know and stuff like that. I go, I just want to make sure everybody's okay, and profusely apologize for several months on my other team members' actions.
Interesting. Now, your team that you have in Alaska, what's are you guys going to do kind of a two-state, kind of east and west team here, or are you going to start up a new one in New Orleans, and are they carrying on in Alaska, or what's the situation with your team?
No, I ended up disbanding it because there were some unethical stuff going on. Some of the stuff was at the fundraiser after I had taken my husband to the emergency room. Apparently, when the parent is away, they had taken pictures and refused to give it to the team, and stuff like that. And then money came up missing from the fundraiser. And so I just kind of disbanded the team, and when I had them sign new contracts, they didn't want to sign the new contracts. So that was the time that me and John just kind of decided to take a break for a little while until we found people that, you know, was able to fulfill our qualifications. But I do plan on starting a team down here. I was looking for a team to join just so I could take a break from being a founder, and didn't work out that way. So, but I am looking forward to getting to know some of the other teams here and hopefully working with them as well, because I really want to learn from other teams, not just what I've learned from people online, or learned the little bit I've learned from other teams as well here, or in Alaska. So.
Makes sense. What would you consider your, did you have a top one or two locations in that area that you want to get to check out? I mean, there's a number of good ones down there, so I'm just kind of curious as to.
Yeah. Oh shoot! There's like a whole bunch of cemeteries here, and I am very big on not going into cemeteries. Not that I judge anybody. It's just normally a personal preference. But some of the places here I just can't wait to go into. There's some mansions as well. And some haunted, I mean, there's literally, I don't even know the names of them, I keep forgetting, but my friend is very big into the paranormal, and she's getting a list together too. So it's, we definitely want to stop by, probably not investigate, but stop by Marie Laveau's grave.
Okay.
And stop by the Lalaurie Mansion, the one that's on American Horror Story.
Okay.
So, you know, those are the two places I want to stop by. As far as investigate, I'm trying to myself learn what's going to be appropriate down here and respectful and what's not. But I'm just driving around down here. I'm like, ooh, 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 shiny, shiny.
Interesting. I have to ask, and I'm just curious to always get people's opinions on this.
Mm-hmm.
Why would there be spirits in a cemetery?
To be honest, I don't know. I feel that if there is, I generally feel that if there was unfulfilled stuff, they probably wouldn't be hanging out at the cemetery. So to me, I feel that they would probably be quiet. That's how I feel. Doesn't mean that there isn't stuff that doesn't. Oh, wow. Doesn't mean that there isn't stuff in graveyards, but for me, I just feel it's a little bit more quieter if I went to a location where there's more chance of a activity. Because I have seen pictures and stuff at graveyards, and I've heard some EVPs that have supposedly been taken at graveyards. but I feel that the stuff that keeps ghosts here are attachment, either from lack of trying to sound tacky, unfinished business, or bond to something or someone. I'm also feel that possible energy that's left behind, maybe not necessarily them actually understanding what's going on and stuff like that, but the energy is still there, kind of like wow, I'm completely drawing a blank. Residual haunting. Wow, okay. I can't even remember that word. So, as far as graveyards, I think that they're probably going to be a lot quieter, but that doesn't really matter where it is. If it's an angry spirit, it may very well hang out at the graveyard. It may not. So.
I understand. The only two theories that come to mind for me on this would be one is exactly what you said of the energy piece. That if depending on kind of what went on with the funeral and what was going on
right.
with all those things, that amount of energy could attract either that person or even something else.
Yep.
The only other thing I could think of is if the person that had passed doesn't know where if they do have some attachment to someone else and they don't know where they are anymore, would they be possibly hanging out there to see if that person would return and kind of visit the site? Those are the only two things I could think of. But I agree with you. I don't think again, I could be wrong. This is all theory, but I wouldn't consider cemeteries real high active locations.
Right. Right, and for me, it's a combination between that I don't feel that it would be extremely active. Of course, it depends on the graveyard again, but it's also a place where people are supposed to be resting. It's very personal to people, both living and past. So I've never been when I told my old team members if they really wanted to get together and do something that they could, but it was just my preference not to go on those. They never did, but. And again, I don't judge anybody that does do it because I know a lot of people that do it, and I know a lot of people that do it with respect. So, but for some reason, the grave cemeteries and stuff here are just absolutely amazing, and for some reason, there's a couple that I would like to go in and just kind of see what I get, just to do it, and they're ones that I feel I could probably do it in a respectful manner.
That makes sense. Now, with your sensitivities, do you ever go to any areas where it's kind of overwhelming? Do they, pick up that you can see them or sense them, and do you get kind of sensory overload anywhere?
I used to, not so much anymore. I don't know how to block, which I know I'm probably having like 50 million people going, oh my God, that's the first thing you're supposed to learn. It's just harder for me to, but I think I've naturally done it. But it was to the point to where I couldn't really block it out. Once I had opened the door earlier this year, it was kind of like constant sensory overload when I was around a lot of people. Luckily, I don't see dead people again, luckily, and I don't physically hear them. But, I'd go on date night with my husband to the movie theater, and I'd be like 50 million people trying to pass on 50 different messages to people in the freaking theater while I'm watching a movie, or even in the restroom. I'm like, I'm going to sit there and talk to the person in the next stall, say, your aunt, Sue wants to pass on, feed the dog. So it has gotten to the point, I don't know if it was because I was sick and tired of it, that I just kind of built up a wall. When I have gone to the cemeteries here, I can feel that there's a lot of presence there, but I wasn't getting any messages or anything like that, and it wasn't a sensory overload, thank goodness. So, but there was a point that I was at sensory overload, and hopefully I'm past it. Hopefully I have, built a subconscious block, and hopefully I won't have it again, but I'm expecting it, though, so just in case, because it is New Orleans.
Right. Any of those, like date night or movie thing, or any of these locations that would be kind of just kind of curious on this. Make a good horror movie scene. You're going into some place late night, and all of a sudden there's somebody that, again, you said they look like normal people, but there's some pretty creepy looking normal people out there. Regular people out there.
Very true.
You're in an area, you think you're by yourself, all of a sudden you turn around and you see some guy in a corner or something.
There's times that I think I do, but of course when I go to look again, obviously there's nothing there, which is typical. So I think subconsciously or on purpose, a few times definitely on purpose, I kind of go, my imagination. But there are times that I do get this overwhelming, like, like I'm going to get stabbed in the back or something. And I'm like, oh, God, I'm going to die, I swear. But nothing ever happens. Thank goodness. But there are times that even in the movie theater, there's in Alaska, some of them have really long hallways that you have to get to just to get to the theater. It's ridiculous. You go through the doors to the theater, and it's like you have to go up and down, and some of it's ridiculous. It's like a maze. And, there are a couple times I get this, oh, God, somebody's going to jump out from a wall or something. So, but overall, typically, no. It's usually peaceful, but there is occasional. And I don't think it's because it's Alaska or anything like that, but I think everybody has that every once in a while sense that somebody's going to jump them from behind or something.
Well, I'll tell you, I have two quick stories I'll share with you all from this weekend when I was working up at Trans-Allegheny. You made me think of this with the feeling like something was going to jump out at you. I was doing a tour guide. I was guiding a tour out in the back buildings of the location, and so we were in the Criminally Insane building. If anyone remembers, if they've seen the Ghost Hunters episode, it's where they recorded the lady laughing. It's kind of an odd-looking building. But anyway, the teams got set up, and I didn't want to kind of interfere with them, so I was kind of just wandering around the building. And there's an area where there's like some medical offices and things in the back. And so I go back there, and it was one of these, again, you just got this heavy feeling like, you're not supposed to be here. And so what I did, when I wanted to have a good time and they were looking for things, I went down and if you want to try something, go up to that room and see what happens. I'll stay down here and, let me know if anything happens. Well, they walk into that room. It was 2 minutes later. They walk into the room. There's this loud noise, and there's all this commotion. They went up, and one of the doors up there closed on its own. So it was definitely, again, kind of that picking up on that heaviness in the air and that something was nearby. The other thing that happened, which was interesting, and I wish I would have been able to see if something else would have come out of this. We were doing tours, like flashlight tours, through different wards earlier in the evening. And I was acting as basically like a spotter. I would follow behind the whole group just to make sure, somebody didn't go killing off into another hallway or something. And they would go into the bedpost murder room. That's a famous room in that location. And I would stay out in the hall. Well, during the first tour, I saw shadow figures running around at the far end of the ward. And we actually heard some footsteps. Next time I come down to do the tour, they were about halfway down the hall. Third time I come up to do the tour, they're crossing the doors 2 doors down from me. And then actually later, it actually wasn't close again. It was there's another room all the way at the end of the hall that I've had experiences with the very first time I've ever been there. I get a choking feeling in there, something that doesn't particularly like me. Saw a very large figure kind of come out of that door. Now, I was in the outbuilding, so I didn't investigate up there last night, so I'm not sure what else happened. But, again, just two odd stories I wanted to share with you all before we head into the
That is
break.
very cool.
Yeah, it was neat. I mean, it's the one thing I did find, kind of how I got involved with the show and got involved with George in the beginning was I've been working with that location, tracking evidence that people are reporting, something I'd actually like to do with other locations as well, if anyone out there is interested. And doing, I'll call it statistical analysis, but it's really probabilities. You look for, if all else is equal in a building and you have 4 floors and everybody's in the building the same, you should get about 25% reports from all 4 floors. If you see something much larger, there's something else at play. It might not be paranormal, but again, it all points towards trying to find some explanations. Anyways, long story here, and I actually lost my train of thought on that. So I apologize. It's what happens when you have a day like I had today. So sorry about that, folks. I did actually have a point to that, and it's gone. So we're still gonna do a break here. I'm gonna preface this. I was trying to pick Halloween type stuff, so I decided for this week I'm gonna do a clown theme. And if I would have been home, I was actually gonna have Pennywise from It record a promo from us, but I never made it back to North Carolina, so Pennywise is gonna have to wait. So we'll be back in about 5 minutes again. Break music, midpoint, and at the end is clown themed. We'll be right back.
I'm the thing that lives in your basement. You're listening to Sunday Night Dead. Please come down here. I need a snack.
And we're back. Tracy, Sasha, you there?
Yep.
So still our broadcasting from the forest episode of Sunday Night Dead, as I am out here in stuck on off the side of 79 in West Virginia. But what I wanted to talk about in the second hour is your involvement in this parabullying or anti-parabullying, I should say, movement, which I fully support. I see a lot of stuff out there that I think is just total BS. Not the things that people are doing that I disagree with technique-wise, more the responses from people out there, which I think in a lot of cases are far worse than the original offense. So I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on this, and this has always been a good topic on here, so I figured we will talk about that in the second hour. So all yours. How'd you get involved in this, and tell us a little bit about what you're heading up.
Well, I was pretty much bullied my entire life by families, kids at school, you name it. It was thrown at me and stuff like that. And you were pretty much taught, oh, it's just school, it'll get better, just wait till you're out of high school and stuff. And got out of high school, it was a little bit better, but only because I didn't really do much. And I didn't have a lot of friends because I was with my ex-husband. So I ended up joining the field, and, I had still been picked on quite a bit, but not to the extent as in high school. And then as I'm networking in the paranormal field, I am noticing I was part of a large group, and they, had people for all 50 states, and I was one of them, and I was seeing a lot of the people for the 50 states bullying some of the people in the regular chat room. So I would go to the page for, the admin type people and say, hey, how's that okay? I'm not getting it. Did they do something that I'm not aware of? And then I would get jumped. And, I would stick up for myself, and I wanted everybody to follow the rules the same way. It didn't matter if you were an admin or not. And it just basically got turned down quite a bit. And, they kept promoting this and, equal this and equal that, and that's not what was actually going on. And then I saw some funny business that was going on, and then I was getting ignored about it, and then finally I got banned for calling them out on it. It's still in the admin group, but when I called them out, I ended up getting banned. At that point, I was like, I had already started thinking about it, and then when I finally got banned, that's when I just decided, I'm going to push this. I go, it's one thing to say, I think that it's a piece of dust, then it's another to say you're a complete idiot, yada, 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 yada. Go back and get some education stuff, horrible stuff that I was seeing people saying. So from there, I pushed it. My goal with, I call it PCAB for short, is to go into schools, because there's such a fascination in the paranormal field right now with younger kids and, even adults now, that I want to use that to try and teach them what their resources are if they are bullied, and basically help the paranormal field stop bullying each other so much, because if we spend as much effort trashing each other as we did on investigations, we'd probably get a few more answers. So I guess that's it in a nutshell.
A lot of things I'd like to kind of elaborate on this. Well, first of all, if I had a dime for every time with any of my kids I've had a teacher tell me, that's just fifth grade, or that's just middle school, or which I think is total bull. I mean, we got to set the bar higher than where we have it set right now, because quite honestly, it never changes. We say that people mature and stuff, but in I see it in the workplace. I see it certainly online. You see it in different areas. It just the toys and things get more sophisticated, but the behavior really never changes. And so I'm totally with you on that. Another thing, I've heard these arguments, and I really don't mean to be disrespectful on this, because I've always adopted the attitude of kind of, leave it wide open, let people do their things. The people that have similar styles will kind of congregate and work together, and I think in the long run it all weeds itself out, that the sideshow stuff will weed itself out. So I'm prefacing that, but, I honestly, these excuses I hear for why we need to do this, I quite frankly think are bullshit. And that is, number one is we're never going to be taken seriously by scientists if people act this way. Well, first of all, you got to realize there's different reasons why people do this. And I would say probably less than 10%, even though they put the scientific label on their team, is really academic research. There is a satisfying your own curiosity aspect to this. Some people do it, quite frankly, just for entertainment. But I honestly have to say I'm not sure what that even gets you in the first place. And maybe it's because, and I'm certainly not the only one. Again, we all have different experiences here, but, I spent time in graduate school for in a science program. Now, granted, it was chemistry, not in this area or not, but I have to say one of the most dysfunctional environments I've ever seen, and this actually would even give Congress a run for its money right now, is the academic research environment. I mean, quite frankly, the drama you see on the internet and with the paranormal things goes on with things as mundane as computational chemistry and things. They use bigger words, and they kind of beat up each other in smaller forums. So I don't think it's really, in the grand scheme of things, going to buy people a whole lot. I honestly think the exposure, entertainment-wise, has opened up more doors for people to be able to investigate and get into this field more than, say, if colleges would all of a sudden start getting more interested in it. Not saying that it's overall a bad thing. I'm just saying I don't think it's worth attacking people over, because at the end of the day, I don't think it's that big of a deal. The other thing is, I've always said, and I've had people get really upset with me on this, I honestly do not believe that the work of someone else reflects on my work. If we had restaurants and, I opened up a pizza place and somebody down the street opened up a pizza place and they were putting moldy cheese and stale crust on their pizzas, in the long run, it's good for my business. Now, are there going to be people out there that think all pizza is bad based on that experience? Yeah. But you can't waste your time and effort going after the people that probably aren't going to be interested anyway. You got to, to take care of the people that are kind of on the same wavelength as you. So, I don't really get it. If there's a team out there in my area that's doing goofy stuff, it's probably going to turn off some potential locations, but it's not going to totally fill the field. And that's the other piece. Is I know it's ultra competitive, particularly in the Northeast, but there's a lot more density in the Northeast, and there should be a lot more opportunities in the Northeast. And honestly, if these teams were doing a really thorough investigation job, which I know it varies for people say anywhere from 4 hours for every hour you investigate, or up to 8 hours for every hour you investigate. It really depends, I think, on what techniques, obviously what you run and what you collect, how much time it's going to take. But if you think about it, some of these teams that are putting out there that they're out there every weekend, either they don't have any job and they spend 24/7 doing this, or they're not reviewing everything. And so, if I would, again, I know everybody's different. I'm not judging on this, but I honestly don't see myself ever running out. Even if 10 teams showed up in my town, running out of investigation opportunities, because it takes a hell of a long time to pull together and review everything, in my opinion, using the techniques that I use. I know I went long there. I'll go ahead and go to Tracy first, and then Sasha, I'll get your thoughts on all that.
Well, I agree with you, Matt. I think that, two things, actually. One, that I think they need to understand if they're going to post a picture or a video or something like that online, I think they need to understand that once they do that, they're opening themselves up for ridicule for what? Now, secondly, I think we're all adults, and we need to treat people like adults. And there's a way of telling somebody, that the orb in their picture is not their Aunt Sally, but a bug. I mean, there's ways to do that and still keep everybody's dignity intact. And, it'd just be nice to see if they did that.
Right.
I totally agree. Totally agree, and that gets back to what I was saying about the maturity factor and some of these. Now, what I have done, and it is, who knows what will happen long term, but it's worked very well for me up to this point. Is I've had I'm not going to say no tolerance, because obviously, like Stephen Covey with his kind of emotional bank account. The longer you have relationships with people, it kind of builds a level before you would, you get to know people better. But I have a very low tolerance for the BS in this. So if somebody's stirring up drama or causing drama with me, I don't for the most part stir any drama back. I wish them well. I use the analogy of my island. I kind of bounce them off the island, and I hope you do. I hope you do well in your journeys. But life's too short for me dealing with your negativity. And I've done that to a number of. There's a paranormal organization that I work with, where there was a person involved in that had some issues, and it was very short, but I had 3 people sending all these emails and sending all these threads, and so I just kind of said my view of it in a sentence or two, and then sent them on their way, and it's worked well. Do I have do I have thousands of people following me? No, but I like to word it as I have the right people in my circle, and so that's the approach I want. I'm not doing this for fame. I'm not doing this for attention. I'm doing this because I enjoy it, and the only reason why I'm even talking to you all right now is the more I realize that other people out there were interested in this, I decided to start sharing and hoping that we can all learn together.
Right.
Sasha, your thoughts on what we've been kind of talking about here? I know we're coming full circle here, but I didn't know if you had anything to add.
Well, I mean, you guys basically said exactly what I would have said. It's basically a maturity level thing, and it really should not be based on age. If it happens in school, we really should be putting a stop to it earlier. As adults, I mean, we spend more time dwelling on what other people are doing than what we could be doing to better ourselves. I over just this year have basically tried to focus on that, because with my disability, sometimes there are points where if somebody looks at me cross-eyed, I have a nervous breakdown, as stupid as it sounds. So I have to make sure that, and it's, it helps me in everyday life, but, I have to keep, like you said, my little circle of friends. And, I have told people in a very polite and mature way, I'm sorry, you were the weakest link. Goodbye. So, I've done it to the team that I didn't get along with. Part of the reason that we get along with is because I demanded, even though I was brand new, a certain level of respect. I learn very well, and I will never stop learning. And I love being told that I'm wrong, as long as I am wrong, because that means I get to learn something. And I just demand people to talk to me a certain way, and I don't feel that there's anything wrong with it, and I feel that everybody deserves to be talked to appropriately. And this field, like you said, is so competitive. And I find myself doing it too. I like to stress everybody be, peaceful, do love, floofy stuff like that. But as much as I believe in it, we are still human and I still have flaws. I get competitive too. When somebody trumps up in my territory, I get all nasty, and I don't get hostile, but internally I do, and I have to calm myself down. That if people would hold on to focusing on why we are in the field a lot more than somebody coming into the territory, it would produce a lot more. There was another team that was like 400 miles away, same state in Alaska. So, that was like halfway across the state. And they had actually investigated a place that I had investigated. And with that ability to communicate with each other, we established that there was a probable routine in one specific room. And if we did that a lot more, I think it would be a lot more beneficial to the field. But as you said, I don't think that what Joe Schmo does affects my work. It does turn people off. I have had people come and say, oh, you do this. I go, no, I don't. Real investigators don't do that. But, I have come across people who have used other teams and will use mine because they have heard stuff about my team and stuff like that. So your reputation precedes yourself. So if you don't know what you're doing, it's going to show, and you don't have anybody else to blame but you, as long as you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I don't know. I feel that, that society in general, especially the paranormal field, has gotten way out of control with the bullying. I have people that supposedly support my page and my cause, and I see them bullying the bullies. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
You cannot be doing that. I go, that's the exact same thing they're doing. Well, no, because they want to hurt people. Well, you want to hurt them. So, I try to stress to people that I do want people to get along, and I want stuff that we do to be based on love for each other, not the floofy kind. And, again, I hate sounding like a hippie. But if our actions were based on caring and stuff like that for other people, society would probably be a lot better off. But I have to correct them on that, and I have called out people on both sides. And I will still continue to do that. And I have defriended people who claim to be anti-bullying and deleted them and banned them from my page and stuff like that, specifically for that reason. So, I don't know, I think, yeah. I'm just going around in a circle now, but yeah.
No, it's true. And, the other thing, too, I've said on here before is I think a lot of the people that have had a much longer history in this field actually missed out on a huge opportunity because they would have been better served acting as a mentor and a authority on this, and they would have gotten far more notoriety. Yep. And, again, I'm making assumptions here, but that certainly seems to be what the folks that I'm seeing doing this were after, whether it was, so many people were trying to do shows and all that kind of stuff. Whether it was that or not, but I think they really missed an opportunity on the table by again driving these other people off. The other thing too is this idea for perfection. That's a great thing to strive for, but this is all a learning process, and everybody's going to make mistakes. And so, a first-time person taking a picture and seeing some dust, the whole orbs and dust thing, I honestly feel, for those that believe early on that that's what that is, it's a learning process. You get into dusty areas. I had somebody last night. We were in a very dusty building. They were taking pictures, pointing out orbs. What I did is I held up the flashlight. I'm like, you want to see your orbs? And I held up the flashlight in the room, and there were tons and tons of, obviously it was dust, but floating through you could see the beam all the way across the room with it. I'm like, that's what you're photographing. Again,
right.
Did it nicely, but I just tried to, tried to prove the point there on it. There are people that will absolutely crucify. There's some sites out there that absolutely, crucify people over, they posted a picture of an orb. It's a learning process. Same thing with the audio. I know a lot of, I don't post much on the picture side. I will post audio to see what people think, and, there's various opinions. I always do find it funny when you post a 20-second clip out of listening to, 16 hours worth of footage, and you know the background noises and somebody, you know, claims it's a fan or something when there's no fan noise in the other 16 hours, you know, or something like that. But again, it doesn't. If you miss one of these things, it doesn't destroy you. Again, just like the pizza place. Could there be one person that looks at that one thing and then thinks you're BS because of it? It might be, but that doesn't. I posted. I'll try to put it up on the site again. I posted something kind of in the realm of stats, but we talk about alpha risk and beta risk, and basically, the way to look at it is if you had it's kind of the risk of sending an innocent person to prison versus the risk of letting a guilty person go free, and
Yep.
kind of where you set that line really depends on what your overall objective is, and
Right.
you know, different people set that line at different areas, you know, and some people brag, you know, that they throw away tons of things because they have that one shred. And I'm not saying to be reckless on this,
Right.
but I think there's nothing wrong with you got to choose your atmosphere. I mean, there's some, and again, but people that don't know any better might post on some of these sites that aren't the nicest of sites to post on to get people's opinion.
Right.
I choose to either post on my page because again, it's my island of refine it quite regularly, and you know the other piece is, you know, I'll send a lot of things in messages. So I know George, I've sent things to, but I've sent things to, you know, Tracy before on this, and or if I was with a investigator at one of the historic locations, you know, I'll send it to them. Go, does this sound familiar? Is this a noise you normally hear in the background or not? Because I'm not hearing it in any of the background of what I'm listening to.
Right.
But again, I'm going. This is an area that I'm kind of passionate about as well, so I'm kind of going along here on that. Tracy, Sasha, anything else you want to add related to this?
No, I mean, no, I guess this is like we were saying. You know, this is some. I guess we're just going to have to deal with, and I think it's the way that we're going to have to deal with is going to either basically make us or break us. Sasha, one thing I wanted to ask you was, in your opinion, you know, 2 years ago, year and a half ago, you would see, you know, almost daily, you'd have one or two teams pop up, new teams pop up. Now you don't see that much anymore. And do you think that bullying could be a big factor in that?
I think it's a combination between bullying and then also the paranormal side kind of calming down. You know, I still think it's there, but I think people are starting to realize it's a lot more work. I know, like in Alaska, that team that I don't get along with, when you look Alaska paranormal teams up, there's a good amount, but they never lasted long because all they got was bullied. I mean, the team would literally call businesses and say, "Don't work with this person. They do this and they do that." So it was never worth it. And I think that, like I said, I think it's a combination between bullying and people actually starting to realize that it's a little bit more work to do it correctly, and you don't just go out for a night and get your answers and then get to go home and sleep. It's, you know, much more involved. So at least that's my theory and my hope anyway. So that, because I know that 2 years ago I was one of those teams, and I came in and I was one of those, oh yeah, I'm smart, and I really am. You know, I'm a lot more educated than a lot of the new teams that are coming out, not all of them, but like I said earlier, it just with books and stuff like that, it's a totally different aspect having to do it in person.
Right. I'll agree with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I would add, too, I think there was a large swath of people that when you were getting all these shows, you know, you had practically paranormal everything, you know, you had paranormal dentists, you know, all different kind of things. I think there was a huge swath of people that may have been mildly interested in this, but were aspiring actors or models or just wanted attention, and so thought this would be their ticket. And so they would jump in to do that. And I know, there were some teams out there very much to the extreme. That was very obvious that that's what they were trying to do. And then obviously, if you're trying to get attention, you want to get your name out there. Sometimes it's, some people choose the path of getting their name out there due to negative things, and also you try to drive your whole competition out. And so,
yep.
I've always said, and I just point this out there for anyone kind of new that's listening. It's worked out for me so far, but everybody's got to do what's right for them. I've always viewed it as there could be 1,000 people following what I do. It could be just me by myself. I wouldn't change it because I would do this if it was totally just me because I'm interested in it and I enjoy it. And
yep.
I really got started in this when I started hearing. Actually, it was kind of pre-shows, but it was kind of when the internet was really getting rolling, just kind of doing searches and seeing some of these things out there and about EVPs and these other things. I was just curious as to, is this real or is this BS? And are people just, is this just people scamming you and kind of making things up and stuff? So I kind of went out to, let me go out and see. And then the more things that I see and the more things that are going on, it just intrigues me more and to dig into more to try to figure out what this is. Now, I personally feel, to those people who don't get a lot of interactions, I think if you go into an area and act as if there is nothing there, you're going to get less. I always try to come in and strike up a conversation. I mean, at the very worst, I'm talking to a wall, and I look foolish, but it's just me. But I think that's the only way. If there is something out there and it has some intelligence, it's obviously going to want to interact with somebody that wants to talk to them more than someone that's just kind of, if you're around. So, but that's just my view on things.
Right.
Oh, no. Absolutely. Like I said, my husband hasn't seen ghosts, and I think part of that, and he feels the same way, is because he is a bit more skeptical. And I always jump to the first conclusion, and I will full-heartedly admit that. I hear a bump in the night, oh, my God, that was a ghost. And then, 2 seconds later, I'm like, okay, that was ridiculous. But, at least I admit it. I have my flaws. but I do feel that people that are more open to the idea hear a lot more. And, when you see me actually do evidence review and stuff like that, I'm a lot less theatrical. I'm just one of those people that gets overexcited over everything. And I calm down 2 seconds later, but, that initial reaction, oh, my God, it was a ghost. Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Well, even the whole debunking, your different debunking techniques and kind of learning, what some other things out there could be that can explain away some of these things, that's a learning process as well, and people go through learning curves on this as well. And again, we'd all be better served to constructively educate each other on this, and even in a way not definitive. I mean, I always think there is a level of, unless it's something very obvious, there is a level of arrogance from someone that sees, 10 seconds of something to go ahead and make, very wide sweeping judgments, on what they're what they're experiencing or what the situation is. But you're still, as far as, did you think of this? What about, did you check this? Just things to help move people along the curve, because that in the long run, that's going to be better. Getting more people doing the right thing, or I shouldn't even say the right thing, learning more about what's going on here, is just going to help move the field much better than all this fighting. And I think some people act like, someday somebody's just going to turn around and crown, this one team the king of all paranormal or something. I don't know.
Right.
Right. Well, Sasha, since we are, talking about new teams and stuff, if a young person, 17, 18, 19 years old, was to come up to you tomorrow and say, listen, I'm really passionate about becoming a paranormal investigator, and, I really think this is so interesting, and give you a couple other reasons why. What would you tell this person to do before they actually started investigating? What would you tell them?
Okay.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I would tell them, research the dangers a little bit. I mean, just to, cover my butt. And if they were still interested, then I would have them, if they were not over 18, then I'd have them come along and do some grunt work. I wouldn't let them investigate. Not that I judge people that do, just my personal preference. And if they could handle the grunt work, and I'd let them know, if you can't do this part, then you definitely can't do an investigation. It's nothing against, and I have done that. I do have 2 teenagers that have wanted to work with me. Both of them got busy with school projects, naturally, so they weren't able to, but or weren't able to very long. But I had them do grunt work. I had them do research on the building. I had them go to evidence review. Now, when I do evidence review and when I train people on my team that aren't previous paranormal investigators, which is actually pretty much everybody that's ever been on my team, I have a dual headset to where 2 people can listen to it at once, and I assign somebody to that new person each time so that they can learn what to listen to, what not to. Granted, it's still judgment, and it's, personal preference on what could and could not be sent. I always tell them to be safe, save it, and then whatnot. But just for me personally, I would always have somebody new, and especially teenagers, start from the bottom and then work up. Not because they're not worthy or anything like that. A, to keep them a little bit safe, and 2, to make sure that they understand the hard stuff before the quote-unquote fun stuff. So that's just how I would do it.
Cool.
Makes sense to me. What's your? Do you have any pages for your team or the anti-bullying that you have that you'd like to share with us?
Oh Lord, I don't know if I have enough time. I got a lot of pages, but I do have a Facebook page for Paranormal Community Against Bullying. You just look it up and it's there. I try to keep my pages simple. Try. You can also find me on Facebook, Paranormal Siren, or my personal page. You just look me up, Sasha Hayden. My team page, I haven't really. I took down my old one because I changed the name, so I technically still have it, but I changed my name. It's called Peer Paranormal, P-E-E-R, Paranormal. It's got like 4 likes on it because it's not active because I haven't had a team, and I'm just kind of focusing on getting settled and whatnot. I also have my personal website, which is paranormalsiren.com.
Oh, awesome. So what do you have coming up next? I mean, I know you're still getting settled in a new area, but what's next on the horizon for Sasha?
Well, my goal, with fluffy rainbows and everything lines up perfectly, like, I imagine everybody hopes so, because no flaws will ever happen. I would like to open up a shop for my psychic readings and my jewelry. I also I'm in a calendar, Women of the Paranormal calendar. The proceeds go to Alzheimer's and some animal shelters. That comes out. They're trying to get it out by December. I'm Miss October, and hopefully I've already got a hold of some talent agencies because I would like to pursue modeling. Not in the type because I joined the paranormal field to be a model and whatnot, but it's something I always wanted to do, and even though I'm plus size, pretty plus size, I was encouraged by people to do that, and it's turned out pretty well so far. I've gotten into one calendar, and I've already had 2 talent agencies interested anyway. No signing or anything like that. I still have to try out and get settled, but yeah, we're hoping. And then I want to upgrade all my equipment and start investigating here soon, hopefully in a few months if all goes well, because nothing bad ever happens, of course. So that's my plan.
Outside, I know we already talked about kind of bucket list in the New Orleans area, but what about outside of Louisiana? Now that you're back in the lower 48, what are some of the locations you'd like to check out?
Oh, goodness, there's so many, because I love Alaska, but you are trapped up there. It's like a black hole. Once you get in, it's so hard to get out. I want to check out an asylum so bad. There are so many asylums, and, you know, yes, I'm afraid of ghosts. Yes, I'm terrified of the dark, but I'm also an adrenaline junkie. I still want answers and stuff like that. So going to an asylum place where I know there's going to be a lot of activity is going to be absolutely awesome. I am going to be speaking also at a paranormal convention in South Carolina in about March. Some of the details are still getting worked out for that. But, yeah, as far as I want to go to Florida, there's so many places in Florida that I want to check out. My husband, too, because he grew up in Florida. I don't know. I mean, it's for me, it's like a kid in a candy store. I'm actually able to go outside of my normal locations and just pretty much do whatever I want. So I'm really going to be pushing my jewelry and my readings in a healthy, ethical way, of course, so that I can just pretty much cruise all over the country.
Awesome. Well, I have to say, as someone who's a big asylum and hospital fan, those are my favorite locations. Yeah, you'll love it. I mean, it's very love those areas, and love being able to help preserve those buildings, because sadly, too many of the, particularly on the asylum stage, too many of them are getting knocked down, and just the architecture alone is amazing, let alone the stories of these people. That
right.
You know, there's a lot of kind of lost souls there that spent their life in, I don't want to say isolation, but, you know, obviously they all had stories, and so that's the other thing that kind of motivates me into that area as well. Tracy, what's going on with you coming up?
We got we got our we're doing our first ever, so we'll see how it goes. And if you guys have any suggestions on helping me out and how to do it, that would be wonderful. But we're putting together a paranormal and history tour of one of our local places, the Russ House. And Sasha, I would love for you to come hang out at the beach and for you to come with us to this place one time.
Excellent. I would definitely be totally up for it. I just have to get money together. My goal, of course, Magic Fairy Dust, is to get to Florida in January.
Okay, well, that's the perfect time to go. No, not really. The summertime is. But other than that, we got a couple of pretty cool investigations coming up. So we're looking good, I think.
Oh, awesome. All right. Well, Sasha, I want to thank you very much for being on with us tonight.
No problem. Thank
Really,
you for having me.
Really appreciate it. And Tracy as well, thank you for being on tonight.
You're welcome.
I apologize, folks, but I think we're going to shut this down a little early tonight. It's, again, if you joined us late, was heading home from Trans-Allegheny, car died, kind of stuck on the side of the road, ended up in a hotel over here. I am kind of spent, so I think we're getting pretty close to time anyway. But next week, if everything goes as planned, we are going to have another great location to talk about. Sasha, there's another one to get on your radar to check out. And we're going to have Waverly Hills, the folks from Waverly Hills on next week. So I am actually out of town again. This is another one of, I've been on the road almost this whole month, and now being kind of stuck here some extra days that I was supposed to be home. isn't the best, but I will actually be out of town. But Tracy and Luana, and I believe possibly Ken and John, the rest of the Sunday night crew will be on with the folks from Waverly Hills.
Excellent.
So be sure to check that out, everyone. Again, winding out with the clown theme here. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, Matt. Good night, Sasha.
Night.
I see you laughing at me, but baby, in my dreams, it's wide as just a sea. Chasing you through the night with my hands around your neck. Funny how everything seems to catch me color, yes. I find I'm laughing, and you are turning blue.